Did you know you can get iron from cobblestone in Create and gold from granite? And what about smelting items at lightning speed without using fuel? These are only a few of the things you can do with the Encased Fan. Today in Create Made Easy, we are taking a look at how this block works, what are the 4 different ways we can use it to change items, and how to put it all together in an amazing contraption that will take your Minecraft world to a whole new level. So sit back, relax, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get started. In the last episode, we saw how to use the toolbox like a pro, completely changing how we manage our inventory. But in order to craft a nice amount of them, we need a source of gold. Sure, you can mine in the nether or spend hours building a vanilla gold farm, but Create has a new way to get this and many other resources. Also, did you know you can smelt things without using fuel? With 4 iron sheets and 1 andesite alloy, we can craft the propeller. But this item is useless on its own. If we put it back in the crafting table along with an andesite casing and a shaft, we'll get the Encased Fan. Now we are talking! This block has a propeller on one side and a shaft on the other. If we connect it to a source, the Encased Fan will create an air current and we'll get an advancement. This current can pull stuff in, as you see here, or push it away depending on the direction in which it is spinning. Clockwise pushes away and counterclockwise sucks items in. This does not only affect items but also all entities, including the player. It's just that it's super slow. Well, the speed and distance at which the fan interacts with items is determined by, you guessed it, the speed at which it is powered. A maximum powered fan can push or pull items up to 20 blocks away, and take a look at that speed. You can't even outrun it. Luckily, full blocks block the current, while some non-full ones like fences or stairs won't. Trapdoors are a special case. When they are open, they let the air through. But when they are closed, they don't. Just imagine the minigames you can build with this. Glass panes are a special case too. Normally, they let air through, unless they are connected sideways like this. You might be thinking, Bruno, that is very cool, especially for the summer, but I don't really see the use of all this. Well, get ready to change your mind, because the Encased Fan has way more uses. Before we see them, hit that like button to support this series. The idea behind making the fan useful is very simple. When the airflow goes through certain blocks, the particles will transform. This effect is not only aesthetic, it also changes how the flow interacts with items and mobs. For example, if it goes through fire or a campfire, the stream of air will smoke items in front of it, just as if they were put into a smoker. Another advancement, food will get cooked, kelp will be dried, and Brunos will be hurt, and horses too! I'm sorry, little friend. This effect will also apply if the fan is sucking air and the items are between it and the campfire. Oh, and instead of just throwing the items like this, you can also place them in a depot and it will still work. The advantage this whole thing has, besides requiring no fuel, is that you can smoke a full stack of items at once. In fact, the speed at which the items will get processed depends only on the amount of items and not the speed at which the fan is spinning. This means that a fan blowing at minimum speed and one blowing at maximum speed will process the items in the same time. But as we saw in the episode on speed and stress, spinning a fan faster requires more power. So when we build our machines to process items with fans, we'll spin them at the minimum speed to be more power efficient. No one needs more stress. The second process we can do with a fan is blasting, better known as smelting. In order to get a blasting airflow, we need it to pass through lava. Be careful though, the blasting air hurts more than the smoke. This means you can use Encased Fans as fuel-free super smelters, and in fact we'll build a contraption like this later on the video. There is one thing you need to know though, and is that blasting items that can't be smelted will destroy them, including items that can be cooked on the smoker. Don't dry your kelp using this. The next effect is washing, and it happens when the airflow goes through water. Also, it doesn't need to be the source, any flowing block will do, and this is the same for lava. You can wash many items, like for example stained glass or colored wool, and this will revert them to their undyed versions. Washing can also turn ice into packed ice, magma blocks into obsidian, and powdered concrete into solid concrete. I mean, forget about doing this for hours. Here are my 3 favorite uses. Washing gravel has a 25% chance to yield flint, but also a 12% chance to yield an iron nugget. Washing red sand has a 12% chance of dropping gold and a 5% chance to drop a dead bush, making them renewable. And washing soul sand has a 12% chance of yielding up to 4 quartz with some extra gold. 12% might not sound like a lot, but remember that red sand and gravel can be gotten from granite and cobblestone using the millstone. So combining these machines can turn, for example, a cobblestone generator into an iron farm, which we'll see in another episode. The last process is the most spooky. When air flows through fire like the one in a soul campfire, it will apply the haunting effect. To entities like players, it gives blindness and slowness, and it exposes vampires. But it can do a lot of useful stuff when applied to items. Campfires, torches, and lanterns will turn into their soul counterparts, meaning that you can use one haunting setup to build more. Another thing hunting can do is turn lapis into prismarine items. 75% chance of prismarine shards and 12% chance of prismarine crystals. No need for a guardian farm. It will also turn all dirt blocks into soul soil, bricks into nether bricks, ink sacks into glow ink sacks, overworld mushrooms into nether ones, sweet berries into glow berries, and my favorite, it can also infest items with silverfish. This is great for trolling. So, smoking, blasting, washing, and haunting. That's a lot of uses for a single block. Did you know about all of them? Let me know in the comments. Now that we learned what the Encased Fan can do, let's build a setup that uses all 4 of these processes automatically. Before we do that though, we need to understand how items in belts interact with fans. It's very simple actually. The item needs to be in the airstream for a certain amount of time or the transformation will be cancelled. So if we move it, all we have to do is add more fans. The faster we move the item, the more fans we'll need to add. This is the key to building a fast setup. Knowing this, let's get started with our game-changing build. These 2 toolboxes have all the materials you'll need for this build. Feel free to pause if you need to see them. And also remember, you can get soul campfires from hunting. We'll be building 4 machines close together, 1 for each type of process. To make things even faster, we'll double each machine, so we'll get stuff twice as fast. Powering 80 fans might sound intimidating, but since we'll be spinning them at the lowest speed possible, we'll be able to do it with just 1 water wheel. We'll first build all the contraptions and then connect the power source. To make things more compact, the water wheel will be underground. We'll start with the washing setup. First, dig a 10 by 2 hole that is 2 blocks deep. Place the 20 fans pointing upwards at the bottom and then a water bucket on top of the 4th fan from one of the sides. Make sure the water covers all of them. I recommend you change the blocks holding the water so you don't accidentally break them later. Stand in one of the corners of the trench and dig 5 blocks down. At this level, dig all the areas surrounding the fans so you can access the bottom. Once you're done, it should look like this. Now place shafts below one of the rows of fans and then connect the ones in the ends using a mechanical belt like this. Go to the other side and repeat the same process so all the fans are connected. Finally, place gearboxes below the 2 belts on the end you want to be at the front and rotate them with a wrench so they connect to the belt and to each other. The system that will power the fans is built. Now we'll do the belts that move the items. Go to the same side that the gearboxes are, and 1 block from the edge place a temporary block and 2 shafts. Then break the block. Go to the other side and do the same, but this time place the shafts over the blocks on the edge. Now just connect the shafts using belts like this. The belts will stop the airflow from going up, but the items sitting on them will still be affected. On one of the sides, place 2 temporary blocks and then a chest on top of each. Finally, place funnels behind the chest so both belts draw items from it. Go to the other side and do the same. This part of the build is done. All we need to do now is power it, but first we'll build the other 3 modules. Next, we'll build the hunting setup. And 1 block away from what we just built, we'll start with a 10x2 trench that is 2 blocks deep. We'll place the fans at the bottom just like we did before, but this time we'll place 20 soul campfires on top. The rest is just like the other module. Dig down, clear the area, connect the fans, place the gearboxes, build the belts, and place the chests with funnels on top. Once you're done, you should have 2 almost identical setups with the belts aligned with each other. Next, we'll build the smoking module, and it will be exactly the same as what we just did, but with regular campfires instead. And finally, for the blasting module, things will be similar to the washing one, but we'll need to place the 2 lava buckets on the 3rd block away from the wall on opposite sides from each other, so they cover all the fans. The rest of the build is the same as before. Once you're done, you should have 4 separate machines like this that are not connected at the bottom. It's time to build the power source for them all. Go below where the gearboxes are and connect the 2 on the ends with a shaft like this. Then put a gearbox in the middle, and this is where we'll power all the fans. Place 2 shafts coming out of this box, then place a large cogwheel with a small one going to the bottom right. Then a large one on the shaft connected to a small one on the top right, and we'll repeat this 1 more time, like this. This is where we'll place our water wheel. Dig 2 holes to the opposite side of the cogwheels like this and place a water bucket here. The wheel should start to spin, and this means that our fans are now powered. You can see that the cogs are slowing the contraption down, so this last shaft rotates really slowly. This is the secret to powering all these fans using only a water wheel. All we have to do now is connect the belts that will move the items, and we'll want them to go a bit faster. So we'll place a large cogwheel going to a small one, and we'll do the same thing 1 more time. Here we'll place a shaft, a gearbox, and a shaft going to the side. This is the shaft that will send the rotation upwards, so we'll have to connect these 2 belts like this, and then connect this shaft with this one using another belt. And the 2 middle belts should now be moving. All we have to do now is go back up and connect all the belts together, placing a shaft here and another one right here. Everything should be moving now, the belts on top and the fans on the bottom. To double check, make sure that the belts move the items away from the side that has the gearboxes. If it happens to be backwards, all you have to do is move the water from the water wheel to the other side, so it will spin on the opposite direction. And this is it! Just put the items to process on the input chest and watch the machine do its magic. They will get transformed right at the end, meaning that no fan is going to waste. Check out the speed at which this melts, and without spending any fuel. You can't say this isn't amazing. You could make a faster setup by adding more fans and moving the belts faster, but for me this speed is just fine. The only problem I have with this is that it looks absolutely terrible. I'm going to decorate this build and I'll be right back. And it's done. The build around our Encased Fan contraptions is complete. The first thing you'll notice is that we have a lot of create exclusive blocks, particularly variations on andesite. These are cut andesite stairs. We also got some layered andesite, cut andesite brick walls, I think, and yes, some more andesite brick slabs over here, along with my favorite, the andesite pillars. I decided to theme this whole build around andesite casing, and turns out that spruce looks a lot like it. We have the 4 chests for the 4 processes over here, clearly indicated by those signs, so there's no place for derps. If we go over here to the side, you'll see that I added some windows, and I want to point your attention to this glass block. This is called vertical framed glass, and it's another Create exclusive. I think it really fits this build, and I love being able to see the items as they get processed. I also added a chimney at the top. I thought it would be cool to be able to see the smoke coming out. Overall, I'm super happy with how this build turned out. The only thing I'd add is a way to connect it directly to my millstone, but that is something we'll see in another episode of Create Made Easy. Subscribe now so you don't miss it. If you want to know all the uses of the toolbox and why it's better than a shulker, check out this video. My name is Bruno and I am out. Goodbye.